This usually be the food of the player.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back for week 10 of 2016. We are in the final full work week of cycle 2, meaning that next week is going to be a taper, then test week, and we'll see how we're doing. I saw a cool news headline a week or two ago where the American astronaut Scott Kelly returned from spending a year in space, and one of the headlines I saw said, Scott Kelly grows 2 inches while in space. And I was like, was he taking HGH while he's up there, or what's going on? But actually, that's not how that works. What happens is when you don't have gravity pulling on you all the time, your spine can decompress. And I was thinking, that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my inversion therapy is, decompress. So maybe I'll grow a little bit. But you want to know what's crazy about that? I actually am already too tall for my weight class. Now, I understand that putting the phrases me and too tall in the same sentence is practically ludicrous, but as powerlifting goes, it's actually true. People in the weight class, the lowest weight class you have right now is 59 kilograms, which is 130 pounds. Dudes that are in that weight class that are like the best of the best, they're all like 5 feet and or under. I mean, some of them are probably actually like midgets, because they actually have like growth problems. And believe it or not, people my height, for those of you who don't know, I'm like 5'4" and a half. Sometimes I'm measured at 5'4" and 3/4. So we'll call it between 5'4" and a half and 5'5", which I think in metric is 164 centimeters for people who don't use freedom units. But anyway, I was reading something, shocker, and it was saying that for my frame, because you input some measurements of your bone circumferences, I think your neck, your ankles, and your wrists. It was actually saying that my frame could support up to a body weight of about 180. Yeah, believe it or not, 180 at about 10% body fat. And that would actually be the most advantageous weight class for me to be in if I actually wanted to compete in powerlifting again. The thing that that article that I was reading didn't say was whether that's assuming you do everything right, when you're like between 18 and 25. Because as you might remember from the title of the first video this year, for me this is round 37. So I have no idea what kind of muscle building is still left in this old body. But it kind of got me thinking, I was like, maybe I should, look to, let my weight rise a little bit. Because normally I've actually held it down just on the theory that, it's most likely going to be fat gain if it's going up. And it never gets easier to lose fat as you get older. So the idea was to try and jump the gun and keep my weight down and prevent myself from getting that, old man chest falling syndrome. That reminds me of one of my favorite memories of my paternal grandfather. My grandma and grandpa were visiting us one time, and my grandpa was well known for taking his shirt off basically at any time, but it was almost always done before he was on his way to bed. So anyway, one night they're visiting, and his shirt comes flying off, and my grandmother says something to the effect of, "Frank, you're so fat." And without missing a beat, he comes back with, "It's not that I'm fat, it's that my chest fell." And I just start laughing. And he looks at me, because this is basically what he was talking about. He's like, when I was a young man like you, I was all chest. And he made like this kind of gorilla pose. And then he said, but the problem is when I got older, it just fell. And, he like used his hands to show how his chest just fell into his abdomen. So anyway, I think everybody knows how that generally tends to happen as men age. And so, like I was saying, it tends to be more of a fat gain as you age instead of a muscle gain. So I haven't made a definite decision on what I'm going to do bodyweight wise going forward, but I'll let you guys know as usual. So let's talk about the lifting for the week. Oh, by the way, hump day! Cool thing about this week is that with the sole exception of Thursday's incline press max, every daily max was a daily max PR this week, which was awesome. And the only reason that the Thursday incline was not is because I had done that weight on Monday, and I don't raise the weight during the week on the incline presses. I just keep it the same. Now, I was thinking about next week's testing scenario. What I wanted to kind of have in my head was an idea of what attempts I think are going to be good to take on each lift. So I was thinking on the bench, since I hit 205 this week, pretty easy. I'll probably, I'll probably warm up to like 190, and that'll probably be like my quote-unquote first attempt. Then we'll move up to 207 and a half to make sure I get a new record, both in terms of daily max and my actual maxes, because as we talked about, my daily max currently is more than my technically actual max. And then I think I'm going to be looking for, depending on how 207.5 feels, I'll probably be looking for 215 as my last attempt on the bench. Haven't really thought about it for the overhead press, but the squat, I'm thinking, work up to like, 275 and then move up to like 305. And depending on how that feels, go for like either 315 or 320. And on the deadlift, since I'm just doing more weight on the same type of volume progression as last time, I'm probably just going to go for like 345 as my top attempt, I think. That sounds pretty good, and will put me in a pretty good place moving forward, I think. And the volume update for this week number 10, is being compared to week 7, because that was the most recent week that had 90% the first 3 days and 70% the final 3 days. Up about 7,000 total pounds from there, and for the year we've moved up to 1,161,483 pounds. Huzzah! And an update on 2016's goals, all the usual good stuff, warm-up, stretching, abs, counting the calories. The one-arm push-ups was doing sets of 2 this week. That's pretty cool. And our trek towards 10,000 chin-ups is now at 2,263. And this week's metabolic update, we had a target of 2840 per day, which we hit on the dot. And you might be looking at that weight and saying, what happened with the body weight? And there's actually a good story behind that, which I think I'm going to tell you next week. So stay tuned for that, and we're moving up to 350 grams of carbs, 140 protein, and 100 grams of fat for a grand total of 2860 per day. Oh man, I'm excited. It's going to be delicious. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.